Hi there, this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You're about to watch a video live stream event that we held in August of 2020 with key players in the online MBA space. But before it starts, I just wanted to let you know that we have an incredible resource of information and analysis on online MBA programs, from rankings to profiles of individual schools to how much they cost to whether they require GMATs or GREs, and a wealth of other information to help you make a really good and smart decision about which program to pursue. If you want to avail yourself of all those resources, go to poetsandquants.com. In the nav bar, you'll see a little tab for online MBAs. Go there, or you can go direct to online/MBA/hub backspace at poetsandquants.com. We're looking forward to seeing you. Enjoy the video.
Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Backstage, our admissions and program event for online MBA applicants or would-be applicants. We have 4 great schools. We just finished our first panel earlier today, which has been recorded, and you can watch that if you weren't here for it. This time we have 4 terrific schools, each with very different programs. And what I love about this format is you really get to see how one program is different from another, and allows you to make a more informed choice about what program is best for you. So let me introduce our panelists. We have Kara Adams, who is Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment at MBA at UNC. That would be UNC Kenan-Flagler at Chapel Hill. Which is sort of an early entrant in the game as it is compared to how many people are out there now with programs. And it's one of the original 2U. It actually was the first 2U MBA program. 2U is a educational provider online. They have a number of online MBA degrees, in fact. We have with us, and I hope I don't screw this up, Kaushik Sengupta, who is a professor of management and associate dean at the business graduate school at Hofstra in New York. Welcome. We have Robert Towner, the director of business development at Illinois' Gies College of Business with their IMBA. And we have the senior enrollment advisor, Christina Jenick from Tulsa. Welcome, everybody. So let's start with Kara. Give us a sense for the structure of your program. How much is asynchronous? How much is synchronous? How many intakes you have? What's the size of the program? Give us the nitty-gritty basics.
Absolutely. So MBA at UNC has 4 start dates: January, April, July, and October. And I would say for each cohort, we tend to have around 100 students that enroll with us. It's a 62 credit hour program, and part of the content is asynchronous. So you're watching your lecture and stuff before you actually have to attend class, but each class requires a 90-minute live session. So attendance is mandatory for those, and each class session is about 20 students maximum with the professor. And then overall, it's about 55% core and 45% electives. We have 5 different concentrations that you can choose from, but they're not mandatory. And then we do require 2 summits before you graduate. So we offer those domestically and internationally. You can come to Chapel Hill as often as you want to throughout the program, but it's not required. But I would say most of our students, whether it's orientation, a summit, or graduation, do attend the on-campus environment at some point in time.
And a summit is a long weekend, essentially, right?
Correct. It's a Thursday optional dinner through Sunday, and it really is an opportunity to network with your classmates. So for Chapel Hill pre-COVID, we tended to have about 300 students that would attend those, where our international summits are usually capped at about 120 students total.
Right. And I remember attending one of your summits out in Silicon Valley where you actually had students pitch to venture capitalists.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's different tracks. There's a consulting track, there's a marketing track, personal leadership. So yes, the consulting track is definitely the most intense, but it's very rewarding. You work all weekend, you do pitch ideas. And then the winner usually goes home with some type of gift at the end of the weekend.
A gift? Wow.
Yep. Missed out on that part. Did they not give you
I
anything?
didn't see that happening. And tell me the shortest amount of time that someone can do the program and the longest amount of time.
So I would say average is 24 months. 18 is possible, but it's going to be pretty intense. And then 36 is typically the longest we allow.
Right. And I would bet most people finish it like in 2.5 years.
Yes, 2 classes a time, 2 classes a quarter would get you to 24 months. So that's pretty much average.
Great. And you've been you've had your online MBA program since, has it been
2011.
2011, 9 years. Okay, I was only off by 1 year. That's not bad for someone my age, because I can't remember a lot anymore. But I remember, of course, when it was launched, because it was a very big deal with it being the first 2U program. And it was a big bet back then. I remember your current dean, who was in charge of the program and the launch, telling his boss, the then dean, who was Jim Dean, incidentally, that, if this doesn't work out, you're going to be hung in effigy on the campus. But it worked out. He wasn't hung.
And look at him now. Exactly.
Exactly. Robert, let's go to IMBA, because, one of the things about the IMBA is that it was a really disruptive program, launched in concert with Coursera, another online education provider, largely of MOOCs. Tell us about your program.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. So our program has 5 intakes a year. We just moved to that recently. Our program is broken up into 8-week sessions. So each of those 5 intakes, so you have January, March, May, August, and October, that there's 8-week classes that run for each of those sessions. For each class you're in, as John had mentioned, we do partner with Coursera. There is a Coursera component that you complete that is on your own. I always tell people you can do it, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It doesn't matter, whatever fits your schedule. And it's kind of your digital textbook for the class. So the faculty member will have items in their MOOC that the student needs to see before they come to the live session. Each week, we do offer multiple live sessions for each class. It's the same material covered in each session. So you simply pick which one's best for you, depending on your time zone or your work schedule or things along those lines. If you cannot attend any of the live sessions, they are recorded. You can simply watch the recorded version, but you do miss out on some of that networking with your peers or faculty if you're always watching the recorded version and never coming to class. On top of that, we do offer optional opportunities to come to campus or do global or domestic immersions with us. These are all 100% optional, as the program can be completed 100% online. There is no residency requirement as part of the program. In terms of the curriculum, it is a career-curated curriculum that is built for working professionals. And the goal within that is to give you information that you're learning on a Monday, taking to your job on a Tuesday, and instantly applying it to your job. We do run a very large program at scale. I know John has previously called us the fastest growing MBA on the planet, as we have over 2,844 enrolled students as of this past summer semester, and that number will continue to grow. We do focus on finding ways to provide that individualized experience while still exposing you to that large global network. We do have about 20% of our students as international and 80% domestic. That should allow you a nice mix in terms of networking in your courses. We do have groups for each course, so when you're working with groups of students, you do get kind of that diverse experience within that. The last thing I'll add around the career-curated material is that 53% of our students during their time in the program tell us they received a raise or promotion that they said directly correlated with the material they're learning. So that's that real-time ROI that we're focused on with working professionals in the program, that many of these students are able to cover the entire cost of our program at only $22,000 with just that one raise that they're seeing when they're directly applying the material to their work.
And here's another point of differentiation that you didn't mention, but it is unusual in the online MBA space. You can actually take a module. In other words, you don't have to commit to the entire degree. You can take a module for credit, a little baby step, if you will, before going in full tilt, which is something that very few people can do elsewhere. Now, you can do that for credit or not for credit, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you have either option. We're really built on stackability, and that's one of the great things that Coursera provides us, being a great partner, is the ability to say, I just need some of this content, even in a non-credit form. I don't need the rigorous assessments or those live classes. I just need this content. And then if you like it, you might say, you know what, I want to take that content and add on those live classes, add on those assessments, and really master a skill in, say, business analytics or digital marketing. And then you can say, you know what, I really enjoyed this class. I'm going to stack this into a series of 3 classes for a certificate and be happy with that. And then, you know what, after you do a certificate, you can say, I've really enjoyed this. I'm learning a lot. I'm applying it to my work. I now want to take all that work I've done so far and continue to apply it to the degree. So our goal is to constantly provide that option value to a learner. Every time they learn something, do you want to continue on? We'll continue to take this work you're doing and progress you through your degree.
Great. Kaushik, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, good. I lucked out on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give us a sense for the structure of the Hofstra program.
So it's very different from what we just heard from our 2 other panelists. And we started the program the same year as UNC did, which is 2011. And right from the very beginning up until now, so this will be our 10th year, 10th cohort in the program. We have designed the program where it's kind of a small size program. We've kept it that way. Our class sizes are not more than 30 people at any point of time. So if we've had enrollments over 30, it's always been a second cohort that we have started. We only have 1 intake, so it's very different from the other 2 programs that we just heard. Our experience level, average work experience in this program for the students is about 13 years. So it's a very senior group. We have people up to 20, 25 years of experience in the online MBA. So it's, in a lot of ways, it's more like an executive online MBA, if you will, given the profile of the students. We have a very strong relationship with Northwell Health, which is one of the largest hospital systems in the Northeast. And our med school is actually, in liaison with them. So every year they send quite a few of their employees through the MBA program. So we have the MDs and the nurse managers at very senior positions going to the MBA. It's a very different structure, obviously, and that's the reason why we've kept it this way, where a small cohort size, a lot of networking within the cohort. Actually, if you talk to any of our students, you're going to see that kind of the consistent feedback has been the relationship within the cohort that they build throughout the program. That is very, very important. So like the UNC program, we have a mandatory orientation residency on campus for a couple of days. This is the first year we have to do it virtually. And that's kind of a disadvantage for us, because we really do a lot of that in-person networking and building up of the relationship at that residency. There's a similar capstone residency at the end of the program. We do have, we've been doing the global practicum immersion ever since the program has been there. Last 3 or 4 years, we've kind of converted that to sort of an international consulting immersion experience for the students. So wherever we have been able to go the last few years, we've been able to kind of get companies to work with the students in advance of the program, visiting there basically, and then having the students go and work with the companies and then present there basically. And like we were hearing from UNC, there's a prize at the end of that that particular option basically. So the healthcare focus is very, very unique for us. The other thing that I think has been unique for the program has been that because people with that kind of an experience are not really looking at an MBA in marketing, finance, or HR or whatever, they're looking at a more general MBA in a way. So we build this strategic business management concentration, which actually allows people to actually multi-focus on many different areas of business rather than just focus on one area. And that has been very popular. An offshoot of this program has been our Manhattan-based program, which is a hybrid program, which just combines some of the online and the in-person hybrid courses. And so it's a 36-grade program. You could complete it in as few as 16 months if you do the full load. You can take actually up to 5 years to complete the program. If you go partial load, usually we've got people finishing in 2 to 2.5 years, if they're not in the cohort plan, that is. So I don't know what else. Career services is one other thing. A lot of our folks, because of where they are, are looking for lateral shifts in their workplace, and a lot of them have moved on to other positions, but we have a dedicated career services group for all of our graduate programs, so they are available to any interested student.
And do you have live weekly classes or not?
We have a combination of asynchronous and synchronous classes, so we're not mandating a live class because we want to keep it flexible. But most of the professors are doing, a weekly, like a Zoom session on a weekday evening or sometimes on the weekends to keep it more flexible. And as we were mentioning, if you can't attend the live session, those are recorded for anybody to view them later, basically. The other thing I would say is that all of the courses are taught by the same faculty members that are teaching on campus, except for some of the healthcare focused courses where we're going to some of the senior executives to teach those courses.
Right, thank you. That's great. Now, Christina, in Tulsa, I'm wondering if, the sort of emphasis or focus or the draw of a lot of healthcare professionals at Hofstra for you is in the energy field, being given your location and your program.
Right. Right. Can you hear me, Kirk? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. We absolutely have quite a bit of students who are local, not necessarily in Tulsa, but are in the Oklahoma area, in Texas. As far as, the industry, yes, we have a lot of students who are legacied into this industry through their family and who are in energy, whether it's renewables or oil and gas. And so that definitely is a source of our prospective student body. But we do have the ability to focus on energy in the MBA or healthcare, or just receive a well-rounded MBA. So, with the changes and the times and the economy with the energy industry, students are coming to us saying, I've always wanted an MBA with a focus on energy, and that's what I want to do. Or this is the business I'm in, but I'm a little concerned with where it's going, and I want to get a solid MBA and potentially change careers, or at least just formalize my training and be more marketable just in case. So it's a little mix of both.
And what's the structure of your program? How many intakes do you have? Does it meet in person or not?
Yeah, so we're different than the other panelists as well, in that we're a baby. In the online sense, we're launching our fall cohort. We've gathered a wonderful group of students who are starting in the fall, but we've been on ground. The school has obviously been around since 1894, and the on-ground MBA has been around a while, but the online is launching in fall, and we have 3 start dates. So students are applying to fall, spring, and summer, entry at any point. It is a 24-month program. That's a suggested pace. So what we're hoping is, because we value so much the collaborative student group and sticking together and creating that network, and really getting to know your professors well and each other well, we want students to stay with each other if possible. So 2 classes per semester, 15-week semesters. So what we did was really try to capture the on-ground structure and mirror it for the online. Just like Kaushik said, we try to keep our TU professors teaching both on ground in theory and also online, so our TU professors are knowledgeable and the material is kind of cohesive. So that's important to us, and within that we try to keep students in the same group. That being said, if they needed to take time off, we have students who are further along in their career. They can take a semester off or reduce their class load, but 2 courses per semester for 24 months, and they can complete it up to 6 years. So, that tends to help students who are in certain fields that have heavier times of year, work-wise and
Sure.
calendar-wise.
Do you have live classes and in-residence sessions or not?
So one of the things I love about the program is we do have live synchronous sessions, but they are on Zoom, kind of the way it's been planned since inception, not just, something we had to figure out. As, Kara and Robert and Kaushik know, this has been in the works for a while. So we're not just throwing our material online, but it is the online synchronous part of the program is 1 hour a week per class on Zoom. So it's a class like this, face-to-face requirement, mandatory requirement or participation. And professors do record everything, but we strengthen and reiterate how important it is to be part of those live classroom conversations, because it is a flipped classroom. You're working on your case studies and your textbook readings for the week asynchronously. So about 90% of the coursework is asynchronous. And once a week, we're seeing each other face to face to talk through all of those different areas, work through problems, talk in small group sessions. So it's a 15-to-1 classroom ratio. That is the goal. Hopefully, or obviously that might fluctuate as the program launches, but right now that is where we're capped. It is a 37 credit hour program, so 9 core courses and 4 business electives, which you can choose our general business electives, our energy courses, or our healthcare courses. So yes, the asynchronous coursework, the synchronous coursework is all part of the program. So really, you're spending about 8 hours in asynchronous coursework a week and an hour a week in a live class session. Another thing I like about that is the way that our professors handle it is they kind of crowdsource the group. So, let's talk about what days of the week work best for us and which don't, so that we can meet at a time that is flexible for everybody. Something comes up and you have to miss, it's fine. You don't need to go to campus for any reason. So really all of your engagement and interaction is done via those live class sessions. So.
And are there any in-residence sessions that are required or not?
Not that are required, and being that we have a lot of local students, we encourage them to come to campus and gather as a group or use the services, use the library, meet with professors, but nothing that is required on ground. Everything will be virtual other than commencement.
Great. Let's take a look at the class profiles. Now, we got a little clue of this from Caustic, who basically said, you're older, your cohort tends to be older, more like an executive MBA program. And there's a heavy emphasis on healthcare. What else about the class profile in terms of diversity of the students, in terms of gender split, whether you have international students in your classroom or not?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
We don't have. I think we don't have any international students in our cohort at this point. Primarily because of the focus being, to kind of tie it back to the campus, to the local area, but we do get quite a few people who come from the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, who would not be able to take the program on the campus otherwise, basically. So we're getting quite a few folks from Manhattan who live and work there, basically, who would not be able to make the trip to the physical campus, if the online MBA was not there. I would also say that because of what we're all going through this year, our program for this fall, the cohort that is going to change a little bit from what I just explained, because we're going to get a few more folks who are transitioning to the MBA right from the bachelor's with not as much of work experience as we had. So because the class size is going to be slightly higher this year compared to what we've had, we're actually splitting the cohort up into the more experienced group and the less experienced group, for want of a better word, so that they can kind of commingle with, people who are kind of similar to that. We kind of pride ourselves with that because, the value of the education is not just taking the credits and finishing the MBA. It's also more to the degree that the networking, the professional relationship, the learning that you get from the cohort, that is very important to us. So we're very conscious of the fact of why the class size is kind of limited and why we want to kind of split it up now these 2 ways by which you're kind of doing the executive group and, the little bit more of a junior group that way. So that's kind of how the profile has gone over the years.
And what about male-female split in your class?
Actually, I think I don't have the data in front of me, but I think we have probably, I would say, a 60-40 split between females and males. So we have more females in the program than males, actually. And the diversity is very good. Actually, we have a lot of different demographics in terms of ethnic diversities, in the program. We've actually had quite a few African Americans and Asian Americans going through the program over the years, essentially. And we've got, the non-healthcare folks in the program actually have been more diverse in a lot of ways, because we've got a lot of people who have the startup businesses and entrepreneurs who are actually, at the CXO level going through the program, who are not necessarily in healthcare, actually.
Right. Thank you. And Kara, what's the average age of a student in your program?
So most of our students have 10 years of work experience on average. We do require 2 years to be considered, and it has to be post your bachelor's degree. We can't count any like internships or co-op experiences you had while in school. But on average, it's about 10 years of work experience. And most of our students are in that middle management, senior management type role, looking to make it into a C-suite level position, or maybe pivot industries that stay in a similar function. We do have career switchers, which I'm sure we'll kind of touch on a little bit later. But a lot of our students also, want to start their own businesses. So they're very interested in entrepreneurship and that sort of thing. And then the male to female ratio is typically females about 35%. We're always, looking to grow that percentage. 25% underrepresented minorities, typically 20% military. And then we do have some international students, not as much surely as our full-time program tends to have. But we do have students, that are located, I would say probably about 80% of them are located outside of North Carolina at a minimum. So we have a lot of West Coast students as well.
And in terms of industry backgrounds and the diversity of that, or disciplines,
just about every industry and discipline is represented within the MBA UNC program. So we have everything from, people who are in finance. Obviously, the tech industry is really big for our program, especially being located in North Carolina because you're near Research Triangle Park, which is a huge tech hub. But then we also have students who are doctors and come from a very scientific mathematical background and want to run a hospital one day and really need that business acumen. So it is a wide range across the board.
Right, great. And Robert, how about at Gies?
Yeah, so our average age is 37, but I can tell you if you look at the distribution, there's kind of a short tail on the front and a long tail on the back end of that. So if we look at just the last...
In fact, don't you have a 72-year-old person in your MBA program right now?
Yes, we do. And so that's why I said, you look, the tail goes all the way out.
For me.
So yeah, so you look at the biggest cluster, it's in the 30s, early 40s is where the student biggest cluster lies, but there is two tails. The extremes are, as you mentioned, over 70 and at 23 for the last class. So I always get sticky on that average age because I don't want to persuade people away. If you're not 37, it's not that the program is not the program for you. It's just where the average tends to fall. And then, when we look at the class profile, as Kara had said, I completely agree. We're at 68% male, 32% female, and we're always trying to work to get those female numbers higher. We did intake our first 2 Forte fellows this fall for our online program. So we're beginning to transition. We used to do the Forte program residentially. We now have Forte fellows in the online program and continuing to focus on growing that female space. We are 20% international, 80% domestic. And we really feel that that gives a good mix to our networking and groups. And even, as Kara said, we'll talk more about career services later, but it gives a good opportunity for those international students to network, and placement is being able to rely on that large international network when they need that type of assistance as well.
What do you attribute your high percentage of international students to? Because most online MBA programs actually draw within a 250-mile radius of their campus. And, usually international students are not really a part of online MBA programs, not a meaningful part. But 20% that's probably among the highest there is, I would think.
Yeah, and I think there's really 3 strong factors we can look at. One, we can look at Gies and UIUC's reputation around the world. We are a global brand, a very strong university that has good reach. Whether that be in Asia, Europe, India, Africa, we have a very strong brand presence. So when consumers are looking at our product, they know that the quality and the reputation associated with it. I think the second thing is definitely affordability. This program is mission consistent with us, that we're trying to provide high quality education to talented individuals around the world, kind of regardless of their socioeconomic status or situation. So priced at $22,000. Allows people to really open their eyes and say, wow, this is a way I can do this program. I'm not paying $100K for an MBA. I can, flex my payments class to class, do these things to really enter into a market. And then the last component of that is not requiring the residency, still allowing those residency events for those who want to opt in. But we hear from a lot of our international students that even at the $22,000 UK price, they might be stretched to the max in terms of what they can afford. And then they couldn't imagine having to buy plane tickets, go through visa process, all of that to travel for the required residency component. So I think we've definitely broken down those barriers that most programs face when they look at international recruitment to really excel in that space.
So Christina, I know you're about to enroll your first cohort, so you don't technically have a history on your class profile, but what is that first class shaping up to look like? Oh, I think you're on your mute button.
I did. Yeah, you're correct. But I do know individually, personally, every single one of our online MBA students, as I am the person who works directly with them from start to finish, so to speak. And so I know that we have several students who, while they don't live internationally, come from international universities at the undergrad level and have international work experience. We welcome students from different countries, and what I do is obviously talk about the benefits that they bring, that they will benefit from, but also the logistics. How do the live classes work for you as an international student? As international students, I have worked with international students in the online space at the grad level, so I can speak to what this really will look like for you versus ideally. And yeah, so some of our students will have to wake up at 3 a.m. and do their classwork, and they're okay with that because that means they get to attend a great university and get their MBA. But that being said, right now we don't have any current international students enrolled. What we do welcome, in addition to having the conversations about logistics, is merit-based scholarship money. They're pleasantly surprised to hear that they have just as much access to that money and that aid as any other student, and don't have to just immediately ask about, is our student loans the only option for them? So that's important for us to indicate and to promote to the students.
Right. And I know UNC also has scholarship money available. How about Hofstra?
We do actually. We are offering academic scholarships based on merit and financial needs every year. Yes.
And that, incidentally, is a relatively new wrinkle on online MBA programs, the whole scholarship piece of it. Years ago, there were very little scholarship money available to online MBA students. I think that's a function of need. It's a function of probably competition as well to get good students in the programs. So let me ask you this. And this is a student perspective question. If I were able to ask your students, what were the three most memorable, most important parts of the program that they experienced, things that they took away that really resonated with them, what three things would they be? Kara, why don't you start?
Sure. So I think brand recognition and flexibility with this program is what we're known for. UNC is obviously a global brand. You're getting the same degree through the online program that you would have as a residential student. We understand not everyone has the luxury of quitting their job, moving to North Carolina. So really helping students understand that they are getting the exact same experience as they would in a classroom, in an actual physical classroom. The other piece is certainly the summits. Summits are the biggest opportunity for students to network. And so I know I've talked to students all the time who say they're super close with their classmates virtually, because you have to be, obviously you're working on group projects, you see each other every week. Often students that start classes together in the beginning, because there's so much group work, tend to try to take classes together throughout the program, because now they know everyone's schedule, they feel like they know everybody's kind of backgrounds, what everybody kind of brings to the table from a skill set perspective. But I've had students tell me they're closer to their students through MBA at UNC than they were in their undergrad, and they were literally, on campus all the time. So that's a huge piece of it. And then certainly faculty. We wouldn't have a program without them. Our faculty are top notch. They are amazing at what they do. They take a lot of pride in what they do, and you can feel it in the classroom. And so those would probably be the biggest things. Is just, every student I talk to really wants to be a Tar Heel. And the importance is that you feel like a Tar Heel, even if you're not physically in Chapel Hill.
And I should say that even though you require 2 summits, a student can take more than 2 summits. So there's the option to sign up for as many as 6, depending on how long you extend the program, right?
You can do up to 4 for credit.
Oh,
You can do 6. You just won't
Yeah.
get credit for those last 2. But yes, you
Yeah,
can
but
do
you
it.
get the fun out of it.
Right, exactly. You still get all the fun. But yeah, there are students that do 4. There's students that graduate from the program and actually attend the summits where we are. Like they take their vacations in Johannesburg because they want to be, obviously they can't attend a lot of the actual, curriculum that's taught there, but they're there at the events at night, the touristy events.
They're
All the fun.
diehards.
Exactly, they are.
How about at Hofstra? What are the 3 things that really resonate with your students?
I think I'm going to go back to a couple of points here. One is that because of the class size, the professional networking that students get from being in the program in a small cohort really resonates with them really well after they've graduated from the program. Since we started the global consulting immersion experience, I mean, the global practicum was always there since 2011 when we started the program. It just very recently we started the consulting experience, so that has added a lot of value add to the students, to the program. The other thing is
that's an international experience. What countries have you visited with the students to partake in these consulting assignments?
We what was it? I think probably 3 years back, it was the initial 2 places were Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo in Argentina and Brazil. Then we did a similar one in Dubai and New Delhi. And last year we did Mumbai and Singapore. So we've been doing it for 3 years now. And of course, if the pandemic was not here, we would have done it again this summer. So, we had actually plans for it. And then of course, everything got derailed. So we want to get back to it. In fact, for next summer, we're all hoping that we are all out of this, right? So, so hopefully we'll be back at this again next summer. If not, we are planning to do some virtual consulting type of thing, so we can still give the experience to the students. But of course, as we all know, being there in person and getting that experience firsthand is totally different from doing it virtually. So, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So the other thing I would point out is that because of, again, the close relationships that students have with their faculty members, again, based on the small class size, there's a lot of one-on-one relationship that students have built with the faculty members. In fact, with the aspect of using the faculty members' resources and capabilities to kind of do some projects after they've graduated from the program. Interestingly, I'm actually working with a former student who graduated this past May. She did actually one of her student projects as part of the program, and now she implemented this at her hospital, and we're actually trying to write up a paper on this. So so it's just kind of that kind of one-on-one experience is something that we cherish on, because the it goes much beyond after the student have graduated from the program. And that's what we have seen, that going back to even the cohort that graduated back in 2013, the first ever cohort in the program, we have very strong relationships with those folks still, and they come back to these events that we continue doing every year, participate in the alumni events, talk to the current students, the future cohorts, and so on. So that is very, very important. We like to kind of maintain that, obviously, going forward.
Sure. Robert, how about at Gies?
So first and foremost, what I hear from majority of our alumni and students all the time is the family atmosphere we create in this program. And it is a large program, but they're exposing themselves to be a member of a large family. And that's always a lot of fun, right? They have fun together, they network together. It's almost like you imagine any large family gathering. We had a networking event just the other week where I saw students eating and drinking together and creating that kind of camaraderie with one another. I think another thing that Kara spoke to, which is so important, is being a member of the Gies MBA family, right? They're earning the same degree as the residential students had earned. It's the same elite top level faculty. So that whole idea of family is really probably number one. The second component that is really what they're most excited about is the different opportunities to engage in all these add-on experiences, whether it's coming to campus for our iConverge event, whether it's going on a global immersion, a domestic immersion. Our experiential learning office right now is putting together our first ever virtual immersion for October, that students will be going to Brazil virtually given the COVID experience, and just, having those opportunities to continue to add on those experiences that continue to enhance their MBA. And then the third thing I would say is I think we create a really neat dynamic between the staff and the students that I even personally feel connected to many of the students in the program, and they know that our goal is to ensure that they have the best experience possible. And, you know, we've had students go through a lot, whether it be related to COVID or even before that, and finding a flexibility, finding a way to build a schedule that works for you and finding a way to get you to your goals. I mean, it's such a big part of what I make sure my admissions team focuses on is hearing out the students in the application process, what are their goals, and then ensuring through the program we help them reach those goals.
Now, I should remind our audience that after a session, we'll have breakout rooms, and you can ask directly any questions you want of our 4 panelists. But Robert, you already have a question. I'm just going to throw it out there very quickly. This is a person who says he's already the CEO of a company in his country, so he's obviously not in the US. He's wondering if the IMBA should be for him or if your new Master's in Management program that's online should be for him. I would think it would be the MBA for a CEO.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what their final goal is, though, right? So our IMSM program, which is a fully online master's in management, really focuses on the practical tools of management that somebody needs to be better in their job day one. We see this with people with an engineering background or a medical background all the time. We have people who get to the top level in their position and say, I've really never taken an accounting class. I've really never taken a strategy class. I've really never done these things. And the IMSM program, which is our 1-year management degree, allows you to quickly get that information and apply it right away. The IMBA program is going to obviously be a whole well-rounded MBA. You're going to get the economics as well. You're going to get some of the more theoretical classes. So I don't know what they're the CEO of, but I think depending on what their company is, either degree could be a great option for them. And knowing that they're not going to be senior, as we talked about before, having that long tail at the end, we have C-suite executives at Fortune 100 companies that they would have the opportunity to network with or be in groups with or those types of items as well.
And I'm going to think the crowd that will be in your MBA program will be older than the crowd that's in your management program. So if I'm the CEO and I want to benefit from their shared experiences and their wisdom, I would go with older classmates in the MBA program as opposed to a management program. That's my own personal view. Christina, now you don't have students yet who could tell us the 3 magical things about your new program. But so let's go into the crystal ball that you have in front of you, look in there and foretell what you think will be the 3 things that will most resonate with your students.
Well, I know already that I can feel very confident saying that the unique counseling aspect to what we provide our students is already and has been in place. The layers of support at TU on ground are already phenomenal. So online, we want to make sure that our students are the right fit for the program, that they are the right fit for our university as well. But we don't hold back when it comes to having conversations about work-life balance, about how this is going to fit into their world, about hesitations they have, right? So the counseling sessions that we have, the student success coach that works together with the student once they're accepted and admitted with us alongside the on-ground program director and the professor. So just that unique counseling, you know, and we're educators, former educators, we're parents, we get, you know, that relationship is important. So I think that that's incredibly valuable, and I think that already at the top is a priority for us and for our students, and I think that's what draws them to us anyway, and so they're kind of experiencing that to be the case for our online program. And then I believe that the flexibility is a huge factor for our students, that, you know, as much as they love TU or they went to school here, they don't have the ability to come to campus anymore for any reason, and don't have the plans to do that. So it's just a matter of what works for every student. If they are a student who wants to be on campus every month, but they live in West Texas, then that's not a possibility, and it's not necessarily a great fit for us, and we're okay with that, but we want them to get what they want out of the program. So, you know, being able to have students from all over the country in Los Angeles and other parts of the East Coast, we're able to really be flexible in every sense of the word, and to have that personal connection. I've already had students say, we're going to, I already reached out to the program director and he answered my questions. I'm like, that's amazing. I don't know, a lot of times that's not feasible. So again, it's part of that counseling, intimate connection, but also the flexibility of being able to meet their needs. So I don't know how many points that was. I think that was only 2, but I'm anticipating.
The program's going to be very intimate. I mean, your inaugural
Right.
cohort will be how many people?
The inaugural cohort, as of right now, I guess I need to check status as of, since it's currently changing day to day. Class starts in 2 weeks, so we're at a real big, important time this week. But I think we're definitely going to stick to the no more than 15 students per class for the first 2 classes. And it can always change. We're still accepting students as of yesterday. So yeah, and hopefully all the students who have committed can move forward.
And then steady state, what do you think the size of your cohorts will be in, 3-5 years?
That's a great question. I would have to defer that to our admissions director, to the director of enrollment, because I'm limited with the information I have to be able to make that response be accurate.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I'm not really sure how that's going to pan out.
No problem. So,
Yeah.
what are the things that people think that they sacrifice when they take an online MBA option is networking. So my question, we'll start with Kara, is, what are the networking opportunities beyond the virtual classroom in your program?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different networking opportunities. At our summits, we do have, we bring in employers that typically have a footprint in the Chapel Hill, Raleigh-Durham area, but have a global footprint overall. It's not what we refer to as like a career fair, because it's not necessarily, resumes being passed. It's more business cards talking about opportunities, that sort of thing. And then our alumni are obviously always super engaged. So if students are looking for new job opportunities, maybe they're having to relocate, halfway through the program, there's plenty of opportunities to connect with alums that way. We do have an amazing resource on campus who manages all of our employer relations, and she has really built out that program. We put resume books together for students and employers. So specifically, if there are maybe companies that are downsizing that we're noticing are doing some layoffs, we'll work with students to put together some resume books for them to help get their faces and their experiences in front of other employers. And then obviously alums are really, really involved with wanting us to do company visits and that sort of thing as well. So, they want, especially on the West Coast in tech, to make UNC, more known than it always necessarily is right now. And so just getting involved that way. So there's a lot of different opportunities. We have virtual career fairs as well. So if students just can't make it again to Chapel Hill or one of our other locations where we're having a get together, we, try to do virtual career fairs. And then pre-COVID, I was on the road a lot in different cities all over the country, and having, alums network with prospective students, talk about their experiences, and kind of start building those relationships before they even start the program, so that they kind of have a guide. It's similar to our full-time program where you have second years kind of mentoring first-year students, kind of setting that up similar for MBA at UNC. So when they're going through, an operations course that's really hard, they have a team of people that they can rely on as well throughout the time.
Right. And I'm imagining at Hofstra, because of the small size of the classes, networking comes fairly naturally, right?
Yeah, it does actually. You're right, and it is actually one of the positive factors that we have through the years. In terms of that networking that the students have been able to build, not just as part of the program, but also being able to tie in back to. So, for example, there's quite a number of on-campus events that go on during the semester, which these students are also, eligible, and they come to these kind of events. So it's not just part of that cohort only, they're part of the overall MBA student body, basically. So, and everything that is on campus is accessible to them. Of course, this fall will be very different, obviously, but in reality, it has been that they have not felt that they're part of the online group as such. They're felt part of the overall, the community of the students. And so from that perspective, they've been able to network quite a bit in terms of, how things have progressed during the program and also after the program, that is. We've actually had a few cases where students within the cohort and students also outside of the cohort have been able to network to the extent where one person has been able to provide a job opportunity to another student in the program, and they have actually moved on into the career that way. And that, I think, has been possible only because of that small, intimate size that we've had in the cohorts.
Yeah. And I think in the IMBA, I know, and probably in all programs, we're talking about smart, ambitious, social people by and large, and they often self-organize. So I know that, you know, in certain cities, people will say, hey, let's go for dinner, let's go for coffee. There's a lot of that happen in virtual programs, right, Robert?
Absolutely. And we really take networking to the next level here at Gies, that it begins day one, right? You get an admissions offer, and shortly after that, you're paired with a mentor in the program. So you're already making those connections to a student who's been in the program, who has other student connections already in the program. And they're reaching out to you saying, student to student, what do you need? You're coming in here. How can I help you out? And beginning that networking really on day one after the admissions offer, before they even accept, because some students are weighing multiple offers and we want them to get to hear from our students about the experience in the program. And that just continues to pile on, as you had alluded to, John. We have large clusters of students in pretty much every major metropolitan city. And a lot of times these students get together on their own. And one of the neatest things I saw happen, and this was about a year ago, the students started doing volunteer challenges in their cities. So we had like students wearing IMBA t-shirts at food banks in Chicago, taking photos, posting them to other students. And then a group in San Francisco doing a beach cleanup. And then a group down in Florida doing another volunteer experience. So there's ways they can give back and also network. And we create kind of an internal social media network for them to interact and get into different groups around interests, whether that might be day trading or hobbies. But I really think the point you brought up first, John, is one of the worst fallacies in online education. This idea that you can't network in an online program. And I'm sure all my colleagues in this room feel the same way. And I always even give prospects my own experience, right? I did a residential MBA. And I have a great network of people back where I did my MBA, but like many people around the world, I had to geographically relocate for a job. And starting to build that network from the bottom up, or reaching a cold outreach to alumni of your school, it's just a weird feeling. Whereas in an online program, you have students who are learning with you, geographically located all over, that I could, you know, if Kara was in the program and I had to relocate to North Carolina, I say, Kara, I remember you from class. Can you introduce me to some people? Can you help me build my network as I move around here? And I think that's such a value add to online education that just gets smashed down in this fallacy you can't network, and I don't buy that fallacy at all.
You know, there's another fallacy too, and that is in an online MBA program, you're going to get the basics. Sure, you're going to get accounting, finance, marketing, strategy, operations, what have you, right? But you might not get the personal development and the high touch that you get in a full-time on-campus program. So let me ask Christina to start. You know, what are the leadership and career development resources available or will be available to your students?
Yeah, what's nice is we have established a great resources for both career development and for alumni, both, you know, in the social network world, but in on the online website and through virtual coaches that existed even prior to COVID times. You know, these resources were available to students in a virtual capacity because eventually our graduates from the on-ground program would go off into different parts of the world. So we were already experienced in collaborating and networking in a remote capacity. In addition to that, you know, our enrollment advisors and our enrollment team work remotely oftentimes and don't need to be on campus. So we're also experienced in how to collaborate, network, engage with, and be social with our employees, our colleagues in a social, you know, in a fun way and in a remote way. So back to the Career Development Center, a center for career development and professional engagement at TU. We have virtual coaches that are available to our on-ground and online students. We have a website, or a newsletter, I should say, called Handshake that is available to all of our students through the Career Development Center and our alumni, as I mentioned, network. So we've already taken what has been working well at the on-ground level and have created that to work for and be adapted to. And again, it's when I see something that the on-ground program offers, I say, can we do this for our online students? Yeah, I don't see why not. And we make it happen. That's kind of how things work, is someone sees the need, the ability to connect those dots, and we make it happen in an efficient way, in a seamless way, not just a throw it online and let's see what sticks kind of way, but a very thoughtful and a thoughtful and premeditated method, right?
Okay, and Kara, I know that at Kenan-Flagler, leadership is a core component of the regular MBA program. What about in the online program?
Yeah, it's one of our core values, and I would echo what Christina said. We've done taken a lot of what happens with our full-time program and, made it available for our online students, although the student profile is different because we're dealing with working professionals that have more work experience. It's important to offer similar things. So we have online career coaches who are amazing. One of the career coaches, the main one for MBA at UNC, will actually be joining me in my breakout session after this. But she will meet with you as little or as often as you want to virtually. She is always at the summits, helping students kind of develop whatever needs you have, whether it's prepping for an interview, looking at your career path and saying, okay, I kind of am interested in X, but I've only been doing Y. Does it make sense? All of those sorts of things. And then you do get lifelong career coaching with this program. So there's some students who are doing it. They're getting employer support and therefore kind of required to stay with that organization for a few years after graduation, but maybe 5 years down the road want to come back and say, hey, now I'm looking at some new opportunities. Can you help me get there? And so they're amazing. And then kind of speaking to the leadership professional development as well, once you graduate, you can come back on campus and take classes at cost with the program. So for a lot of students who are filling some type of professional development kind of requirement through their organization, they will choose to take a course, kind of as Robert talked to earlier, whether it's working towards a certificate or something in addition to, because they're familiar with, how the course operates, the requirements, the faculty, that sort of thing.
Right, that's good. Robert?
John, I'm sorry. You know what? I thought of something, but then I was listening so intensely to Kara talk that I've now forgot what I was going to say. Please to pass it to Robert. I just realized I didn't mention our student profile and kind of who we attract. So if we don't have time, I can do it in my breakout session. So it's not a big deal.
Oh, do it now.
I want,
go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Everyone's been talking about their students, and I realized that, we can't base our student demographic on the on-ground program. And Kara, what you said reminded me of that. Our students are slightly more experienced, come from different areas clearly, but we have students who have arts and sciences backgrounds who don't necessarily have a business degree. And I think that's important for any potential students to look at this and say, well, I'm not a business student. This is too rigorous. Yes, it's the same program as on ground. It's just as rigorous and competitive, but we have students who have bachelor's degrees in all sorts of areas and people who work in the nonprofit sector who need to formalize what they either have been doing on the job or want to switch careers, as we briefly mentioned before. So, not to be intimidated by the fact that you're going to be jumping right into management and corporate business strategy courses, because we take a look at the whole student and look to see how we might be able to help you hit your goals and to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program. And so, we have students who are maybe fairly on the younger side in that maybe they only have 3 to 5 years work experience post-undergrad. Then we have students who have 20 years work experience but never got that MBA, and this is a really important goal for them. In the point that I made earlier about this being a mirror image, so to speak, of our part-time on-ground program, the rigor and the curriculum is the same. So it is something that they should be prepared to be part of and to keep up with, I guess. But also that doesn't mean that if you're not a business expert or business student, business major, that you're not going to be able to make it work and to be successful. So.
That's why we're called Poets and Quants. The poets are like me, the English and political science majors who don't know what accounting is or finance or marketing or strategy, and the quants with the engineering and science backgrounds who might be more comfortable with the number crunching. So I can't believe it, our time is already up. But the beautiful thing about this is that everyone is going to be in a breakout room for half an hour after this session. So you can go and ask any questions that you may have. As you can tell from our panel, online MBAs are not online MBAs. They come in many styles and varieties and formats with slightly different class profiles, slightly different structures, different numbers of intakes, different amount of time that you can stretch or squeeze to get the degree. And the flexibility is what is the beauty of the online MBA arena, frankly. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your time and your perspectives. It was really enlightening for me. I even learned things, and it's really terrific. And I think, you know, people learned an awful lot about not only your programs, but the online MBA space in general. So thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it, and enjoy your breakout sessions.
Thank you, John.
Thank
These are
you,
phenomenal
John.
programs.
Stay safe and healthy.
Thanks.
Yes,
You
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.